Once again, very warm welcome in Lisanics for my lecture. In this video, we are going to learn syllables. This topic comes under suprasegmental phonology. We study different sounds at the level of phonemes. Study of human speech sound at the level of phoneme. That's the subject of segmental phonology. And when we study sounds above the level of phonemes, that becomes suprasegmental phonology, in which we see different features of connected speech. We study the concept of rhythm, we study the concept of syllables and assimilation and elision, linking, and different other concepts that we study under suprasegmental phonology. But today we'll focus on syllables. Syllables can be defined on two bases. One is there is phonetic definition on the basis of phonetics, and the other definition is on the basis of phonology. Before going into the detail of the definition, we need to know phonetics, that is related to how different sounds are produced and how sounds are perceived and how different sounds are transmitted. Production, reception, or transmission of sounds. So when we say phonetics, we are concerned about the articulations, how air stream comes out of the lungs and then it goes out of the mouth. In the same way, in phonology, we study the organization and functional aspects of human speech sound. When we define consonant on the basis of phonetics, we say that the sounds which are produced with partial or full obstruction of airflow which passes through the mouth, and vowels which are free of obstruction. In the same way, we can define syllables phonetically, that in phonetically speaking, in syllable we have a center, and in center there is little or no obstruction, and the center of the syllable is comparatively loud. And there are certain surrounding elements, and those surrounding elements, there is obstruction, right, partial or full obstruction, and the surrounding elements of syllables considered as less louder. For example, if you take this one, cat. Now here a is a center, and the central element of the syllable, phonetically speaking, has little or no obstruction. Why? Because center is always vowel. Center is always vowel. And vowels are those sounds which are produced with no obstruction of airflow, right? And comparatively loud. For example, we don't say cat, k, a, t. Now this center is comparatively louder than the surrounding elements. So this is the definition on the basis of phonetics, that how air stream comes out of the lungs and what kind of effect that we feel in the oral tract, whether there is obstruction and there is no obstruction. Again, there is another definition that is on the basis of phonology, and you know phonology that deals with the organization of human speech sound, and we see certain functional aspects of different sounds in phonology. Look at phonologically speaking, this is an uninterrupted unit of speech in which there are certain nuclear elements, and nuclear elements are always vowel, and sometimes we see there is a syllabic segment, right? But syllabic segment or syllabic consonant that we will discuss in detail in another video. But here, just to need to understand this concept, syllabic segment means that there may be a consonant which serve as a nucleus of the syllable. Most of the time, maximum, the nucleus is vowel. Nuclear element is always vowel, but sometimes there is a consonant that may come at the place of nucleus. In that case, we call that consonant as a syllabic segment or syllabic consonant. That will be discussed in detail in another video. And phonologically speaking, the syllable consists of nuclear elements as well as marginal elements. And marginal elements are always consonants. Mean before the vowel, before the nucleus, there are always consonants, and after the nucleus, again there are always consonants, right? This is the phonological definition of a syllable. Now question arises how we can come to know about the number of syllables in a word, right? For example, this one puff of air produces one syllable. Whenever we produce different words, we try to articulate different words, there are number of puff of airs that we produce. So the number of puff airs will decide the number of syllables. For example, if I say ka, by putting your hand at this place, you can identify the puff of air. For example, ka, only once you would feel the air which is coming out of your mouth that will touch at this place, at the palm of your hand, right? So for example, if I say beautiful, so 3 times you feel the puff of air at this place. So the number of puff of air will determine the number of syllables. In the same way, you can have many other examples like cat, only one. Another thing is number of vowel sound is number of syllables. You can transcribe the word. For example, I have this one cut, and you are not supposed to look at these letters. You need to transcribe it in terms of phonemes. So look at, this is k, a and t, cut. So now there is one vowel sound in this. Vowel is a compulsory part in the structure of syllables, and consonants which comes before the vowel and consonant which comes after the vowel, after the nucleus, these consonants are optional. Marginal elements are optional phonologically speaking, but the central part is always obligatory and compulsory, right? Central part is always vowel, and sometimes there is a syllabic segment or syllabic consonant, right? So another way to look at the number of syllables in a word, that movement of organs of speech, the number of movements of organs of speech that you feel, that will decide the number of syllables. For example, if I take this word, this one, yes, again, grand, right? Only one time there is movement of organs of speech. So the number of movements of organs will decide the number of, and there are also number of theories regarding, there is chest pulse theory. We see pulses. If you put your hand at this place, you would see the pulses. For example, beautiful. So 3 pulses can be felt at the chest. So the number of chest pulses will decide the number of syllables. So different theories regarding syllables we will discuss in different video. Here we are just trying to understand the basic concept of syllable in terms of phonetics and in the context of phonology. So here you can see that the initial consonants, the marginal consonants which come before the nucleus, before the nuclear elements, these are also called as releasing consonants. As in cut, this k sound is a releasing consonant, and the consonants are the marginal elements which come after nuclear element, that is the vowel. These are called as arresting consonants. So releasing consonants and arresting consonants. Yes. So here is the structure, right? We can use this Greek symbol to identify the syllables, and it can be further divided into 2 parts. One is onset and the other one is rhyme. Syllables, syllables have two parts. One is onset and the second one is rhyme. Onset means the consonants or the marginal elements which come before the nucleus. Nucleus is also called as peak, right? For example, here we see cat, cat. So k sound will be called as onset because it is in the beginning of the nuclear element. Nucleus. Our nucleus is always vowel, as I told you in some time, syllabic consonant. Right? In the same way, the other branch of syllable is rhyme. Rhyme is the combination of two parts. One is the compulsory part in rhyme is nucleus. The obligatory part in rhyme is nucleus, and the optional part is coda. Right? Coda means the consonants which are the part of rhyme, and these consonants come after the nucleus, after the nuclear element, after the obligatory element. For example, if you take this one, cat. So k, this sound is onset, a, this is the nuclear element, obligatory element. It will be considered as nucleus or peak, and t will be considered as, of course, coda. Right? So these are different examples. There is specific kind of structure of syllable in different languages. At the moment, we are only discussing the structure of English syllables. In English, we have this structure, that C03 and VC04. What does it mean? It means that this C shows consonant and 0 and 3 shows the range of consonants. Minimum, there may be a syllable in which there is no onset. There is no onset. If the syllable is starting with the vowel sound, it means that there is no onset, and if there is no onset, we can symbolize with this symbol, that null coda or null onset, because coda and onset are optional parts. These are not obligatory parts. Syllable can exist without coda and onset, but syllable can't exist without the nuclear element, that is always vowel and sometimes syllabic consonant. Right? So the maximum number of consonants in the beginning, the maximum number of onset in 3, and minimum, of course, null or 0 onset. In the same way, after the nucleus, the consonants are called as coda, and the maximum number of consonants in coda, 4. Yes. We have different examples. So this formula shows the maximum number of consonants in onset and maximum number of consonants or minimum number, that is 0 in coda. Right? So these are different possibilities that we may have in English language regarding any syllable. For example, the first one is cat. Here, k, C stands for consonant. In this way, you can symbolize CVC. Right? This one is eyes. I have not written in letters. These are phonemes. Right? So you are supposed to learn the transcription, and after transcription, on the basis of letter, you can't decide that this particular word has this number of vowel letter, then we can decide that this is monosyllable or monosyllabic word or disyllabic word or trisyllabic word. Any word which consists of single syllable, that will be called as monosyllabic word, and any word that consists of 2 syllables, that will be considered as disyllabic, and more than 2 we can also call as polysyllabic or tetrasyllabic, penta, and in the same way, so on. Right? So these are different possibilities. This is Gao. Right here, Gao, C, V, C, and this one is I, E-Y-E, I, this one, E-Y-E-I. So this is the notation I. So here you see only there is single vowel, nucleus. As I told you, no syllable can exist without nucleus, and nucleus is vowel. So single nucleus can stand as a syllable. And here is the example. In the same way, ia, that's the diphthong, that's the combination of two sounds and has the quality of, right, single vowel, in which first vowel glides towards the second vowel. In the same way, you see try, t, r, and I, c, c, v. In the same way, this is stray, stray, s, t, r, and this one, it would become c, 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 and v. In the same way, this is street. Try to notice that in every syllable, if you see s, t, r, and 1, 2, 3, maximum number of consonants in onset, you see 3. So you will not find any syllable in which more than 3 consonants are present in onset and more than 4 consonants in coda. In the same way, you see this one is strength, right? So this is strange, range, strange. So again, this is C, 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 and V, and again C, C, C. So these are different possibilities that you can see. This is grand, and this one is and. As you see, in the beginning there is no onset, right? If the vowel is starting from, yes, from vowel sound from the nucleus, then we can say that the onset of this syllable is null, right? There is another way to look at the structure of the syllable that will be discussed in detail in another class, but here you can see we have in onset pre-initial, initial, and post-initial, and then we have nucleus in the form of vowel, and then at the end we may have maximum number of 4 consonants, which can be classified as pre-final, final, post-final 1, and post-final 2. And these codas, right, the combination of different consonants, these make different kind of consonant clusters. In the same way, initial consonants also make different kind of clusters that will be discussed inshallah in next class. So this is all about the concept of syllable. Let me revise the definition that syllable is basically an uninterrupted part of speech in which we have a compulsory nucleus, right, that is always vowel and sometimes syllabic consonant, right, and there are certain marginal elements which are optional, right, onset and coda. Hope you have understood the concept of syllables. Stay connected with Lisanis to learn more. Thank you so much.